Anti-abortion activists have threatened to carry out a door-to-door investigation. They're coming to your door after another recount proved that Kansas voters have backed an amendment to preserve choice, freedom of choice. Now, this recount in Kansas was requested by two different people. One, Melissa Levitt, a Colby woman who had testified before the state legislature about 2020 election conspiracies, because of course, and bankrolled by longtime anti-choice activist Mark Geitson, whose Kansas for Life group targeted George Tiller's abortion clinic before he was murdered. Great. So now apparently these two individuals are very salty that in Kansas democracy prevailed and protected the rights of pregnant people. So of course they go to the tried and true method of voter fraud. It was voter fraud. Yet fraudulent voters, dead voters, Democrats, they're the problem. No, the problem was, well, I shouldn't say problem, but we had democracy and democracy won. Turns out that you had people, more people, on the side of protecting freedom of choice. But no, they don't care. They have paid for a recount, and that recount failed, and now are even more salty about it. So again, I find it incredibly hilarious because even when they've been proven to have lost twice, they said, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think that this is I think that the voters were wrong. I mean, I don't even think the voters were actually voters. Really, what proof do you have? Trust me, bro. No, I don't trust you. Now, Geitson said this. His next step was to check the registrations of people who say they voted. We're going to check your registrations now. We're going to get into your data here, into your personal information. Because, again, we're sad that we lost, and we don't believe we lost. In fact, he says this, I don't care whether they voted yes or no. Of course you do. It doesn't make any difference to me. I want to know if a human being voted. So we'll be visiting homes to see if anyone lives there. Maybe 10 out of every precinct. So you're just going to go around and randomly harass people, knock on their door and say, are you a human? Did you actually vote for this? What did you vote for? Hey, how about you get the fuck off my porch, you crazy person? How about that? Go ahead and come to my door. Go ahead. Now, I don't live in Kansas, so they won't come to my door, but nonetheless, no, don't come to my door. It's ridiculous. Now, on the recount, 9 out of the state's 105 counties had recounted their ballots and found about 87 fewer votes in favor of preserving rights and 6 more in favor of stripping those from women in the August 2nd election, where a total of 922,000 votes were cast on the issue. So again, even with that, the recount, so yes, recounts can find votes one way or the other, but it wasn't enough votes to sway the end result. And yet, they were ordered to pay about $120,000 for the hand recount that they'd requested, according to the Kansas City Star. Now, unfortunately for them, Geitson and Levitt only raised about $50,000. That's still a lot of money towards the statewide recount. And he ended up paying the remainder with money from his own retirement account and a credit card for the Kansas Republican Assembly, a hard right alternative to the Republican Party. Oh, that's so good. So this chud spends his own money from his own retirement, screwing himself over, and still does not get the result that he wants. That's hilarious. Hey, moron, you probably could have saved yourself a lot of money had you looked at the polls. The things that tell you how people feel about an object, or not about an object, but about a subject, and sometimes an object. Yeah, when you do that, you find out that the vast majority of the country happens to be pro-choice. Even if they're personally against abortion in their personal lives, i.e. they would choose never to have one, that doesn't mean that they want to take away the choice from everyone else. And that's very important. The majority of the country supports the right to choice, supports the right to freedom. It's only morons like you and politicians that bow down to these special interest groups that want to completely ban abortions for everyone. Again, plenty of people personally against it, but they don't want to control other people. They don't want to tell other people what they can and can't do with their own bodies. That is called freedom. It's called choice. But see, understand that some of these people don't believe in choice. They don't believe in personal freedom. They think that they want to, that they should be able to own other people's bodies because they think that whatever's growing in them is a life. Like, is not just a life, by the way, is a fully formed human being from the moment of conception, and therefore should be granted 100% personhood. That's, again, the science does not agree with that. The science is very, very clear on that. And look, what Roe established before was, okay, here's where the government can, rule and say that we're going to protect life because now it is considered an independent, viable life. We're going to set that up. That's when we can intervene. That's when we can pass laws to say that, okay, you've had enough time to make a decision whether or not you want to end this pregnancy. Now it is considered a viable human being, and now our laws can protect that. But by getting rid of Roe, you've gotten rid of those benchmarks. So, yeah. But again, the whole point was not to protect life. It's to control women, to control other people's bodies. And so, here's the thing. It's kind of ironic that this, narrative from the right wing is that the left wants to control their lives. I don't want to control anybody else's life. I barely got control of my own. I'm too lazy to control anyone else's life. I got enough of my damn plate. All right? No, I don't want to control anyone else's life. What I want is I want rich people to pay their fair share in taxes. I want people to have good jobs. I want the streets to be safe. I want there to be healthcare. I want there to be safety nets for the poor. I want everybody to have access to a good education. And I want people to have personal freedom. I want people to have freedom to protest, freedom to travel, freedom to make bodily decisions, freedom to organize their workplaces, set up unions or, worker co-ops, freedom to read and watch what people want, to do what they want in their own bedrooms. But when it comes to the right, it just seems like a lot of those things, they don't believe in it at all. And what they have to do is justify their beliefs, their want and desire for authoritarianism through projection. Again, if the vote went their way, there would be no question about it. There would be no recounts. There would be no voter fraud allegations. There would be no questions about the integrity of the vote. No, they would accept it 100% at face value. Oh, our initiative to ban abortions, it won. Are you sure? They wouldn't ask, oh, is there any anomalies? No, they'd just be like, oh, we won 100%. Democracy has spoken. The people have spoken. We have a mandate. But if they don't win, they pull all this garbage. And again, it's because they can't stand that people could vote or think differently than they do, because they want to control what they do, control what they say. And that's my biggest issue with the right today. They refuse to accept the reality. They refuse to accept the fact that most of the country does not agree with them on a lot of these issues. They have lost the culture war. They are desperately doing everything they can to keep dragging us back into fights that we have already won. And since they have gotten a position of power, i.e. taken over the Supreme Court, now they're rolling back those things that we had previously won so that we've got to fight for them all over again. As opposed to doing anything to actually improve the material conditions of everyday working Americans. Hey, look, it's great to have this distraction if all you care about is enforcing corporate rule. Because every day that we spend fighting this nonsense culture war, thanks to the right wing, constantly dragging it back, that's another day that corporate America, the wealthy, and the politicians can get together and continue to rob us.